Once there lived a boy in a very small village. His name was Kabir. Most days, his pockets were empty, but his heart held a quiet dream. He wanted to do something big, something that could lift his family from worry to peace. When Kabir shared that dream, people laughed. Empty pockets cannot hold big plans, they said. Their words were heavy, but his silence was heavier. He wondered, what if they are right? Still, a small spark inside kept saying, try again. One evening, after a long day at school and helping at home, Kabir sat by the river asking himself a simple question: what do I control today? He did not know the full answer, but he knew one step: begin. A wise teacher, known to many as Guruji, saw Kabir sitting alone. What is troubling you? He asked. People say I cannot become anything great, Kabir replied. I have nothing but a dream. Guruji handed him a small mirror. Look, what do you see? I see a tired boy, Kabir said softly. Look deeper, Guruji whispered. Behind the tired eyes is a fire. That fire is your belief. If you protect it, feed it, and clear away the ash of doubt, it will light your path. People will try to cover your mirror with dust. Clean it daily with your actions. But how do I protect it? Kabir asked. 3 ways, Guruji said. Keep learning a little every day. Care for your body so your mind can work. Choose one useful skill and practice it until your hands remember what your mind forgets. That night, Kabir made a simple plan. He kept school first. He chose a part-time lawful job that fit his age and hours. He promised himself enough sleep to learn well, basic meals to stay steady, and 1 hour a day to master a practical skill. He wrote his goals in a small notebook: today's study topic. 1 small repair to practice. 1 truth to remember: I am bigger than my present. He told his parents his plan. They agreed to support him as long as he stayed safe, healthy, and honest. Their home did not have much, but it had trust. Kabir began to learn phone repair from a friendly mechanic who allowed apprentices. Each day he practiced 1 tiny task: replacing a screen, cleaning connectors, checking a battery, testing a speaker. He kept a simple study habit: read a chapter, summarize it in a few lines, and teach it back to himself. When something felt hard, he broke it into smaller steps. The fire inside grew warmer, not by wishing, but by doing. When he earned a small amount, he wrote it down. When he spent, he wrote that too. At the end of the week, he looked at the numbers and asked, what can I save? He learned to separate a little money for tools and a little for emergencies. The journey was not smooth. His mother's health needed attention. Bills appeared like sudden rain. On those days, doubt returned, whispering, give up. Kabir looked into the mirror. Clean the dust, he reminded himself. He visited a local clinic for his mother's care options. He asked his mentor for guidance on schedules and exams. He kept his work within legal limits and avoided unsafe shortcuts. He learned to say no to overwork that broke his health. He also looked for free learning resources at community centers and asked older students for notes. He found that asking for help was not weakness, it was wisdom. With patience, Kabir began taking small repair requests after school, only what he could legally and fairly handle. He spoke to each customer with respect, gave honest timelines, and did not promise what he could not deliver. He priced his work fairly and wrote every job in his notebook: problem, parts cost, labor, total. At week's end, he checked which tasks took too long and practiced those again. He reinvested in basic tools rather than showy items he did not need. When a repair was beyond him, he said so and referred the customer to a more skilled shop. People started to trust him because he put truth before money. As months passed, steady habits multiplied. Kabir created simple checklists for common repairs, so he made fewer mistakes. He kept a small emergency fund. He saved for a second-hand multimeter and a better soldering iron. He learned to source parts from reliable sellers and kept receipts. School stayed at the center. When exam time came, he reduced his work hours and focused on study. He learned that a strong mind builds a strong business later. Slowly, opportunities grew from word of mouth. Kabir did not rush to open many shops. He improved 1 step at a time. His mother's treatment became more regular. His father rested more often. These were not miracles, they were the fruits of small, repeated actions. When Kabir felt ready, he set aside a clean, modest corner for his work with clear hours, lawful permits when required, and simple house rules: respect every customer, explain the work, keep promises, issue receipts. He tried a small line of basic accessories only after understanding demand. The same people who once mocked him began to notice his steady results. They saw not only a dreamer but a doer. Some asked for work. Kabir chose carefully, paid fairly, and taught what he knew. He remembered the mirror and shared its lesson: we protect the fire by how we live. Guruji visited one morning and smiled. "What do you see in the mirror now, Kabir?" "The same boy," Kabir answered, but with clearer eyes. "I did not grow by luck. I grew by learning, resting, practicing, saving, and serving." "Yes," Guruji said. "The world tries to make poor children think small. But those who protect their belief and build good systems change their story. Remember this: your worth is not the weight of your pockets but the wisdom of your choices. Your present does not fix your future. Protect your inner fire with honest work, healthy routines, and daily learning. Keep school and skills first. Seek lawful, age-appropriate work if you must work. Care for your sleep and health. They are not luxuries. Start small. Track every rupee or dollar. Reinvest in tools and knowledge. Keep your promises. Ask mentors for feedback. Use free or low-cost learning resources. Expect obstacles. Do not copy risky shortcuts. Success is not guaranteed, but steady habits raise your chances. Your effort writes your next line. Dear friend, if this story lit a small spark in you, pass the light forward. Share this with someone who needs courage. If it helped you, like and subscribe so we can keep learning together. Your next chapter begins when you dare to think big and act with care today. The same boy who once counted coins for bus fare now stood before a neat counter of his own, screwdriver in hand, receipts in order, and a line of customers who knew his name. Kabir's corner stall had become a small room with a sturdy bench, good light, and a sign that read, "Reliable repairs, fair prices." He still walked to school each morning, but by afternoon he opened the door, flipped the sign, and greeted every phone as if it were a puzzle waiting to be solved. Word spread slowly, then steadily, because he finished on time, charged what he quoted, and handed back devices cleaner than they arrived. One customer brought a cracked screen, then returned with 3 friends. Another brought a tablet no one else would touch. Kabir logged each job, noted the fault, the fix, the part number, the time spent. At night he read those notes again, asking, where did I hesitate? Where did I waste motion? The answers became tomorrow's checklist. The fire in the mirror burned brighter not from drama but from detail. Exams arrived like seasonal storms. Kabir closed the shop early for 2 weeks, taped a polite notice to the door, and studied under the same steady lamp. When the results came, he scored well enough to qualify for a technical diploma offered in the district town. 3 afternoons a week, low fees, recognized certificates. He hesitated, more bus fare, less time for paid work. He opened the notebook, drew 2 columns, stay and go. Under go he wrote, newer skills, access to lab tools, network of teachers, possible stipend. Under stay he wrote, immediate cash, familiar routine. He stared at the page until the choice became obvious, short-term pain, long-term gain. He enrolled, cut his repair list to what he could finish before noon, and rode the early bus. The diploma classes taught circuit diagrams, customer service, and, crucially, how to estimate the true cost of a business hour. Kabir returned each evening with fresh questions for his own workflow. He adjusted prices to cover transport, lowered them again when bulk part discounts kicked in. Every change was small, but the margins inched upward. At home, his mother's checkups grew from emergency visits to scheduled appointments. The local clinic referred her to a charitable hospital twice a year. Kabir saved the bus fare in a labeled envelope so the trip never touched household food money. His father, whose hands had known only the handle of a hoe, now sat under the neem tree some afternoons teaching neighborhood children how to hold a screwdriver. He told them, my son fixes tiny things until they make big differences. Pride is a quiet income. It spends itself in new energy. Year 2 brought a surprise. The mechanic who had first welcomed Kabir as an apprentice announced he was retiring. "I have no son to take the shed," he said. "Rent is due in 3 months. If you want the space, speak now." The shed sat on the main lane, twice the size of Kabir's current room, with a proper workbench and an exhaust fan. The rent, however, was triple. Kabir spent an entire night with the ledger. He listed every repeat customer, every forecasted repair, every risk if foot traffic did not rise. He added a new line: "Skill upgrade, can now handle laptops and basic solar lanterns." When the numbers still wavered, he visited the bank, where his savings account, opened with a minimum deposit and maintained with monthly entries, had slowly grown. The manager, a woman who liked precision, reviewed his records and offered a micro-enterprise loan at reasonable interest, insured with a grace period. Kabir did not flinch at the paperwork. He had practiced documentation like a prayer. He signed, not for the maximum amount but for exactly what the spreadsheet demanded. The mirror reflected a young man measuring twice, cutting once. Moving day felt like a festival. Friends from school carried boxes of screwdrivers. Customers volunteered to paint the counter a calm blue. Kabir's mother fried sweets in rationed oil, laughing that her son now had a kitchen for gadgets. He hung the old mirror by the door, not for vanity but for memory. Every morning he glanced at it while turning the key: clean the dust, do the work, protect the fire. The larger space allowed specialization. One bench became quick fixes: screens, batteries, charging ports. Another became deep recovery: water damage, board-level soldering, data retrieval. He labeled drawers, color-coded cables, installed a second-hand oscilloscope. Prices stayed transparent, a printed sheet taped to the wall, updated in pen so customers saw the last edit date. Trust, Kabir learned, is a compound interest earned in public view. A local women's self-help group asked if he could teach basic phone maintenance. He set aside Sunday mornings, refused payment, and gained advocates who brought in twice the class fee in new clients. A nearby school requested a session on safe internet habits. He prepared slides, spoke for 40 minutes, left his number. Each outreach was small, but the network effect was large. The fire now warmed more than one hearth. In year 3, Kabir opened a second-hand laptop on the counter and loaded free accounting software. Every spare part, every rupee in, every rupee out, now lived in rows and columns that balanced at the click of a button. The software generated quarterly reports. Kabir read them like storybooks: profit margin the hero, overhead the villain, cash flow the cliffhanger. When tax registration became mandatory, he hired a retired accountant for 2 hours a month, paid on time, learned the forms. Compliance was not glamorous, but it kept the door open when competitors were fined into closure. The mirror had taught him, integrity is the wick, without it, the flame smokes and dies. Not every month soared. The shipment of counterfeit batteries cost him 2 weeks' earnings and one loyal customer who left a sharp online review. Kabir swallowed the shame, refunded every affected owner, posted a public apology, and then spent nights watching teardown videos to spot fakes. He updated his supplier checklist, demanded certificates, paid slightly more for peace. The loss stung, but the system grew stronger. Around the same time, heavy monsoon rains flooded the lane. Water seeped under the door and soaked spare boards. Insurance covered half, grit covered the rest. He rebuilt, this time raising the lowest shelves 6 inches higher. Obstacles, he realized, are data: wearing dirty clothes, wash them, learn them, plan again. Diploma completed, Kabir qualified for a national skills competition sponsored by the State Youth Commission. The topic: diagnose and repair a randomly faulted smartphone in under 90 minutes. Participants from affluent technical colleges arrived with branded toolkits and team coaches. Kabir carried his own box, each handle wrapped in thread where cracks had appeared. When the buzzer sounded, he breathed once, visualized the checklist, and began. 47 minutes later, he raised his hand, device on, all functions tested. Judges double-checked. The screen showed green across the board. He placed second, earning a medal, a small cash prize, and, more valuable, a photo in the regional newspaper under the headline, "Village Boy Outpaces City Labs." Customers clipped the article and brought it to the shop as if it were a shared certificate. Kabir hung the medal next to the mirror. Reflection upon reflection, effort meets recognition, neither the finish line. With recognition came choice. A city chain offered him a manager's salary, triple his current draw. The job meant relocation, brand uniform, quarterly targets. Kabir weighed it against the ledger he knew by heart, his parents' comfort, the apprentices who trusted his teaching, the rent now shared with 2 employees who depended on the workshop. He declined politely and counter-proposed. He would become the chain's rural service partner, handling warranty repairs locally for a fixed monthly retainer plus parts margin. The agreement gave him steady income and kept ownership at home. Negotiation, he learned, is not confrontation. It is enlarged pie shared with new forks. The fire warmed more tables. In the 4th year, Kabir finally replaced the cracked mirror. The new one was larger, unchipped, framed in simple wood, but he hung it in the same spot. Old customers noticed and teased. Finally spending on yourself. He laughed. No, on clarity. Then he did something unexpected. He invited 3 teenagers from the village, children of farmers, daily wage laborers, one girl whose parents could not read, to join a 6-month paid apprenticeship. Hours were set, so school remained priority. Stipends were modest but real. Contracts were written, signed, registered. He taught them what Guruji had taught him, what the mechanic had shown him, what the diploma had sharpened. Look, learn, practice, record, respect. At graduation, he handed each trainee a small mirror and a notebook. Protect your fire, he said. Write the steps. The story is yours now. Today, Kabir's shop hums from 9 to 6, then closes so he can walk home for dinner. The numbers are not secrets. Apprentices update them daily. Next quarter, Kabir plans to install a solar panel on the roof, reducing power cost and teaching green tech in the process. He has started the paperwork for a small cooperative loan that will let the senior apprentices buy minority shares, ownership spreading like ripples on the river where he once sat in doubt. Some nights, after the accounts are balanced and the door is locked, Kabir still lifts the mirror and looks into his own eyes. The tired boy is still there, but now he stands beside a calm young man who knows the weight of rent, the language of ledgers, the sound of a parent's easier breath. The fire between them is steady, neither wild nor dim, tended daily, fed with learning, shielded from the winds of haste and the rains of despair. He smiles, wipes a smudge from the glass, and sets it back on the nail. Tomorrow will bring new faults, new customers, new questions. The answers will grow where they always have, in small, repeated, honest acts. If you feel that same quiet spark inside, whether your pockets are empty or full, remember Kabir's mirror and Kabir's method. Learn a little, rest enough. Practice one useful skill until your hands remember. Track every rupee, serve every person as if the whole story depends on that single exchange, because it does. Share this story with someone who needs evidence that big thinking plus small doing can redraw the map of a family's future. Like and subscribe so we can keep decoding paths that are grounded, legal, and open to whoever is ready to begin. Your next chapter starts the moment you decide to protect your fire and build your systems.